Hello everyone, Emily here. I am going to do the Apache Tears. So I'm going to use this new hook that I got around Christmas time. It's a 5.0. It's plastic and it's really pretty. My yarn is it's either going to be Red Heart or it's going to be Mainstay. I'm going to use green and yellow. And this is a really pretty stitch. I'm going to go ahead and chain multiples of 7 plus 2. So you can just count starting like crochet 7 and then do it and then count another 7 and then count another 7. At the end you're going to add 2. This is the same pattern I used on my crochet sweater I made for myself. This would be a really pretty scarf or a pillow. A pillow, it'd be a really pretty pillow cover. So just go ahead and crochet multiples of 7 plus 2. I'm ready to turn my work. So I am going to go into the very next stitch. I'm only going to go through one strand and I'm going to do a single crochet. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do a single crochet. We're only going to go underneath one loop and we're going to do that single crochet all the way across. This is going to be our foundation row. Just go under one strand and do your single crochets. It might look complicated, but really it's not. Just follow along and anyone can do this, and once you learn how to do this Apache Tears, it will be so simple for you to make your own patterns and own designs. We're at the end. I'm going to go into that last stitch. We're going to chain 1. We're going to turn our work and we are going to go into the back loops only. You can see your little V's. We're only going to go into those back loops. We're going to go into that very first stitch. So you're only going under one loop and it's going to be that back loop. And you're going to go all the way to the end. So we're here at the end. What we're going to do is we're going to finish that last stitch, and we are going to go ahead and end our color yellow now. So for the rest of this blanket, what we're going to do is we are going to end it every time we get to this end. So we're going to go ahead and cut it. Just going to go ahead and pull it through. And that's going to be my knot. I'm just going to pull it nice and tight. So looking at that right side, we're going to go to the other end. Oh, I always like to tie a knot. That's just me trying to be extra sure that it's not going to come undone. You don't have to do that if you don't want to, but I love knots. So stay on that right side, and we're going to go to the beginning. We're going to grab our new color. Now you could just pull it through if you want to, or you could make a knot. I like to make a knot so it's on my hook. We're going to go into that very first stitch. Now the trick to always going in this first stitch here is we're going to go in. You can see we're going to go through underneath both those loops. We're always going to go underneath both loops at the beginning and the end of the rows. So I'm going to pull it up and do a slip stitch. I'm going to go into the same stitch, that same one. I'm going to bury my tail there, and I'm going to do a single crochet. So that is always the stitch I'm going to start with. Every row you're going to come into that first stitch the same way. So you can see the back loops here. We're always going to be working in the back loops except for the first and the last stitch. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 single crochets in the back loops. So you can see that I have those front loops showing, and we're always going to be working on this side of the project. So now we're not going to go into the next stitch, but we're going to go down below. See that front stitch? We're going to yarn over, we're going to go down below, we're going to do a double crochet, and don't do it too tight, don't pull it too tight. I'm going to pull my yarn up a little bit so it's not real tight, and I'm going to finish off my double crochet. And now you're beginning your pattern. So when you do this, do not go into that stitch behind, or you'll be increasing. So you want to skip that stitch and go into the next one. We're only working in the back loops, and we're going to do our single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So now we have our 5. We're going to go down below in front of that next stitch, and we're going to do our double crochet. So we're going to do 5 single crochets, then we're going to go down below, and we're going to pick up that front loop. We're not going to go into the stitch behind it. We're going to skip that one because we do not want to increase. And we're going to start doing our single crochets again. We're going to do 5, and then we'll do another double crochet. That's going to be our pattern all the way across. Isn't it pretty? You can see your design starting. So just keep doing that. I'll go all the way across. And make sure that you just don't make that double crochet too tight. I like to hold the bottom as I'm going. This is really pretty. You can see I'm burying my tail. Now remember, your last stitch, you're going to go through both loops. So it really just does not count when you're counting to do your double crochets. That one's just your border stitch. So your last one, go through both stitches. And then you're going to end it off. I really like working on the same side all the way. Isn't that pretty? So now this next row, you're going to start seeing the pattern, and you don't have to count as much because you'll know that you're going to do a double crochet right after the double crochet that's there now. I have this philosophy that if I put a knot there and it's close enough, it's not going to be able to come undone. That's my philosophy. And so I like to bury my my tails from the beginning to the end, so that at the end I don't have a whole bunch of tails, and you can just cut those tails that are sticking out off after you get done. So grab another color. I'm just using 2 colors. You could use as many as you want, or you could use the same color, whatever you prefer. So I just slip knot, put it on my hook. I'm going to go into that very first stitch. So that double crochet, I'm going to count 5 from there, because I'm going to want to start, make sure that my beginning, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so I know that my very first stitch is going to be a double crochet. So every time you start from this end, you're going to want to count and look at your double crochets to see where you are. And this is pretty easy if you make a mistake, because you only have these first few stitches. You can always just pull it out. So I'm going to do my slip stitch. Then I'm going to do my single crochet. I'm going to go ahead and start burying my tail. I'm going to go into that same stitch. I did chain 1 to make it a little bit easier on myself. There we go. So the first one is going to be a double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we know that we want our very first stitch to be our double crochet. So just go ahead and go down. my double crochet. So now when you look at your work, don't go into that stitch right behind it because we don't want to increase. Go to the next stitch. Now we're going to do single crochets until we get to the double crochet from the previous round. So there's our double crochet. We're going to go into that one in the back loops. Now we automatically know after we get done with that one, the very next stitch is going to be a double crochet, and we're going to go down below. So now you can see the pattern starting to form. It will start looking like steps. Make sure you don't go into that stitch behind there, but you're going to go into the next one. We're going to do our single crochets till we get to that next double crochet from the previous round. And I'll tell you, this makes such a nice, thick, warm blanket. So you can see your pattern forming. Don't go into that stitch behind it. Go into the next one. And that's just going to be your pattern all the way across. Now when you get to the end and you're going to tie off your yellow, you're going to go back to the beginning and you're just going to keep doing this. This is going to be your repeat pattern. You're going to do your double crochet after the double crochet from the last row, and you're just going to keep doing that. Now you can tell that it keeps moving like a step ladder, so you just have to make sure that at the end that you never do a double crochet at that last stitch, because that one is just a border stitch. And at the beginning, your first stitch, you never do a double crochet in that first stitch, because that is also a border stitch. So the first stitch and the last stitch, you go through both loops. The rest of the blanket, you always go into the back loops, unless you're doing the double crochet and you're going down below. This is a really easy pattern. I hope you're enjoying it. At the beginning here, I am doing one single crochet after I pull it through, which is totally fine. Just make sure you don't go into that stitch when you start. I like to pull it nice and tight. So I'm going to do my single crochet, and I see I have a double crochet right away, so I'm going to do my single crochet in the back loop, and I automatically know that the next stitch I'm going to yarn over and do a double crochet right next to it, and then I'll start my repeat pattern all the way across. Isn't that pretty? So you can really see the repeat now. You're starting to get a nice sense of what your pattern is going to be. So please watch the pattern more than once if you need to, but it makes a beautiful, beautiful pattern. You could change your colors if you wanted to. This is the same pattern I used for the front of my blanket, my sweater. And I just wanted you to show you this crochet technique. It would make a great scarf. It's also fun to just practice this because it's absolutely beautiful. You could make a pillow out of this and it would just be absolutely gorgeous. But I love my colors, so I picked yellow and the green. I don't think this is picking up the colors as beautiful as they really are because they're absolutely gorgeous. My colors are. So have a great day. I hope that this tutorial was easy to follow. I'll probably do it again in the future. But have a great day and stay safe. Thank you. Bye.